Welcome in, everybody. I'm going to give it a quick second here for the hundreds of viewers to start tuning in. If you want to take a look at the screen there, that's what the folks at home will be seeing as well. It's pretty cool. And let's see. Going to be doing a sunset themed wall mounted flutter. And maybe even two of them. We'll see how this first one goes. Just want to make sure every last piece is where it should be. And let's get started. So all the material, you guys, is inside our furnace here at 2100 degrees 24/7. We try to never shut our furnace down, otherwise we wouldn't have any glass to work with to make a piece. I'll show you some of that glass here quick. Right out of the furnace, I can spool some of this stuff up. And there it is. Starting our 7 o'clock demonstration, folks, if you want to watch. I'm going to get a little bubble going just to show you guys what this stuff is. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with. Some pretty gooey stuff, right? So now let's take that gooey stuff and make something awesome. Let's see. I'm going to set this guy over here as well because I think I'll try to use this mold too. All right, here we go. We'll get our first gather out of the furnace. It is very hot in here. Whoever screamed there, you are correct. Roasty toasty is what I like to call it. So if I ever stop turning, you can see it's just going to drip right towards the earth. The kids these days are all about the drip. So that's why I like. All right. So I'll roll it, cool it a little bit. This isn't enough glass to start adding the colors, so I'll just cool it down. It looks orange just because it's super hot. That glass, when it comes out of the furnace, is a little hotter than the surface of lava. So I'll press the tip back here, and I'll start a bubble. Have you guys ever seen a bubble get blown in glass before? Well, today's the day. Watch the end of the pipe. Here it comes, okay? You got to look close. Got to look close. There it goes. You see it? All right. So now we got a little bubble started on the inside. I'm going to get another gather here. And this nice woman in the front helped me figure out the design that I'm going to do. I'm going to have some of the orange and reds towards the center of the piece, and then some of those pinks and purples around the edge of the piece. So now I'll go in for another gather, and this is the gather that I'll add the color. So I'll roll some of this glass forward off the pipe, and I'll cool the sides just a little bit. Create it a little more into a cylinder. Go straight down. All right, there's one coat of that mixture. I think I'll do 2 coats of that sunshine mixture there. First, I'll melt it in at our reheating furnace. So this one's 2300 degrees, super hot. It's actually hotter than our gathering furnace. I'm going to roll just a little bit of that stuff forward here, just like that. And I'll go down into some more of that color. And melt that in as well. Every time we add color, you got to melt it in. The way we get colors in the glass is with different metal being trapped inside the glass. So gold, silver, copper, cadmium, you name it. All those different metals give us all the colors and the piece. That's why some colors are really expensive and some colors are a little more affordable. I'm going to put a fun pattern onto the color here. I'll go right down into this mold. That way it has some of these ridges to it. And I'll melt that back so it's hot and start to twist it up a little bit. I'll do that over on this marble. Those little folds are going to trap a higher concentration of color when they collapse and get pressed together, like the rays of the sun. I'll even terminate it really well using my shears here. That'll be the focal point in the very center of the piece. An important step. So now I'll get this really hot and I'll roll through the pinks and purples over there. I'm going to try to apply those a little bit more towards the pipe side of the bubble. Get all this stuff super hot here so the color will stick. Pretty much as hot as I can get it. And then I'll roll through that strip of those other tones there. All right, I'm going to melt those in. And while there's more over there, I think I'll roll through just a little bit more of that. Use it if you got it, right? Let's even go one more time onto the front. Okay, so now we have all the color applied that we're going to want. I think I'll do one more round of some little manipulations to it. I'm going to use my tweezers to do some little twists all the way around where the pink and purple stuff is. Give it some fun movement here. There you go. So now you can see all those twists in there. A little swirl at the bottom. How's it go? I'm going to really heat it up now so I can smooth everything back out. And then the manipulation of the color will be done, and I can work on the shape of the piece. If you guys have any questions as I'm working, feel free to shout them out or comment on the stream. We are live streaming it too. You can see it. Yeah, thanks. So here we'll use our block to shape it up. Come here. I'll get the bubble back here. So I blow pretty hard and trap that air with my thumb. That's going to start to expand a bubble up into the inside. There we go. So you guys see the plates on our walls up around there? We have a lot of white walls still, so I'm going to keep making some more pretty plates to fill in. Color on this, I think, might look really cool. Bunch of little twists everywhere. Sort of almost like a starry night, but then this will be really bright. Yeah. I got to let it cool down a little bit so that it's not super hot when I do gather more glass. Because if I gather when it's too hot, it'll be hard to control when I come back. You won't have any stability or infrastructure to the bubble. All right. And I think I'm just going to go for it, you guys. I'll get another gather glass on top of this bubble. A little strip gather, release some of that glass off of the piece so I don't have quite as much. I don't need all that material. Yep. All right, so I'm done using the wood. We'll transition to this pad of paper. I'm going to cool the very tip of it here by rolling it on the marker. It's going to cool down the front of the glass so it doesn't get too thin near the front. And I'm going to blow it up a little bit if you watch. And then I'll put on my blow tube. This is going to allow me to inflate it by myself and control it. So I'll get it roasty toasty hot, which is what we call it. Roasty toasty. This piece is for sale too. If you'd like to buy a piece you saw get made, whether on the live stream or in person, cool thing about this piece is you'll always have access to the screen of how the piece was made, which is kind of cool. So now I'll blow it up a little bit more. You see all the colors going on here. It's going to look much different than what it does now, but you can still see some of the pattern. So now I need to open some doors up here because this bubble's getting too big. All right. So this should be the final blow to inflate it to its final bubble size. I may need to do a couple more things to it after that. putting a tight constriction on it so that it will break right where I want. It's an important step. That flame is from the beeswax. We keep our blades waxed with beeswax so that they glide smoothly over the piece and don't scratch it. You guys can see the colors starting to come out a little bit. The bright colors, like the ones in the center, the orange, the yellow, the red, those aren't going to show up until it cools down more. They're going to look a little bit dull. Just trying to let it cool down a little bit to add a button of glass to the very tip. Let's go for it. I'm going to stand it right up just like this. I got to hustle because it does start to sag on me. Grab a little bit more raw glass. All right, that little button is going to be where we mount the hardware to mount the plate. If I don't put that button on there, the punty, which you'll see in a second here, is going to be the attachment rod. It can sometimes take a chip out of the piece, and it would be so unfortunate to take the center of that pattern out of the plate. So to ensure it doesn't do that, I've added this button. There we go. Now we're ready to transfer it to a separate rod. So I'm going to kick some heat into this side of the bubble so that it doesn't crack when I go back into the furnace. We'll use the blowtorch, as the kids call it. Mommy, he's got a blowtorch. So I'll roast the back side of the bubble here, making sure it has some heat in it. That should be good. Let's go for it. So this next step is pretty tricky. If it doesn't go just right, the piece won't work. But I do need to break it off of the blowpipe and get it to stick onto a separate rod. Since my door is wide open, I'm going to have to increase the level of gas inside my piece here. So this is the punty. Punty is an Italian word for bridge or transfer. Rolling it on this metal table to cool this glass down. I can't have it go on super gooey, otherwise I won't be able to control the piece when it breaks. I'm going to take an opportunity to flash the ball of glass. The flash is where we get everything hot, just keeping it alive. And here we go. So I'll stick this punty right to that piece I put on at the bottom. Try to center it up a little bit. Press it on and make sure it's really stuck on there. And I'll put some water where I want it to break. Here you go, you guys. This is a make or break moment, literally. And the crowd goes wild. Thanks for following the cue there, whoever was clapping. All right, so now I'm working on the opening of the piece. We'll do that same process when we're making cups or vases or plates, platters, the punky transfer. And now we're on to the next chapter of this piece. Eventually, this bubble of glass, you guys, is going to unfurl open into a large plate that'll get mounted to the wall. And we're not quite there yet, but that's the mission I'm on here. Just going to really focus my heat on the very front of the bubble. And I'll head to the bench here and check it out, because I haven't even seen what the lip of the piece looks like. Could have a big gouge out of it, or extra glass and need to be trimmed. How are we looking up there? Looks pretty good. All right. We are just about ready to start spinning it open, but not yet. So I'm going to slowly turn as I heat it. I don't want any centrifugal force to start until I am ready. And there'll be one more time at the bench to use the jacks to open it up. Really trying to make sure the back of the piece is staying hot too, not just the front. Getting closer. I'll heat her up again. Trying to make that opening a little bit bigger until it's time to spin it all the way open. Once I start spinning it all the way open, there's no going back. All right, you guys, there's nothing left to do it. Just time to go for it. Are you guys ready? He's like, yeah. Right on. This is one of the cooler demonstrations to see, in my opinion, of glass making, where I'll use centripetal force to really start to open this piece, because I'll get it so hot. So I'll start to spin faster and faster here, just a second. Here we go, you guys. So I'll start to really turn on the jets with spinning. And there we go. Our sunset platter. I got to get it into the kiln so it can cool down. So I'll apply some water. This is wet water. And give it a little tap Make sure nothing's touching it that shouldn't. Quick little torch to make sure it's not fractured. And I'll put on my proper protective equipment. All right, let's get it in the kiln. Thanks for watching, you guys. All the way in the back. There we go. We can take it out tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Check out our gallery if you get a minute. Ask us some questions. We do offer classes as well. We even have kids classes for kids as young as 4 years old. Yeah, you could take it. They make some necklaces with our instructors. It's a lot of fun. Thanks again for watching. Please check out our gallery inside. And that piece is for sale too if you'd like to take home a memento you saw get created. Whew. All right, thanks everybody watching at home on the interwebs. I think that's, what are we up to? We had, all right, we got 400,000 viewers. Let's just go ahead and invite them to browse our online gallery as well. You can do custom orders as well on those wall flutters. Happy